The WWC, what the world is watching.
Hey, thanks for joining me. We get into the lessons learned from the 71 versus 80 war, and we look ahead to the semifinals and finals coming up next week. Let's get into it.
600 plus days of last war grinding, battles spawned, lessons learned, strategies mastered. When we talk, you level up. Welcome to the Warzone Wrecking Crew.
Welcome everybody into the WWC QB18 here, and today we're getting into a review of the 71 versus 80 war that happened a day ago. We will look at a few lessons learned there, and we'll also look ahead to the semifinals and finals coming up. Before we get into that, I wanted to mention something, revisit it, that we mentioned on the live in regards to overall power and how it will reflect after your drill grounds. So let me quickly cut to what we had talked about on the live, and then we'll come back. Shot of this. What I should do, just to show you this, is take a snapshot of this. I'll play this right here so you could see it, and then we'll look at it later, right? So I'm going to go down. This is the individual power chart. So this means right before the war, everybody's drill grounds are full. So I did a video on this. So if you're questioning this will actually prove me out on my theory. So here you can see, as promised, here is the side-by-side before the war and after the war. And as we can see, there is a big drop, as I said. So look at Legend lost 30 million because of troops. You got Wizard lost 50 million because of troops. 50 million. It goes all the way down. And there's a couple snapshots that I wanted to take too of like 17. So you look at Jun here of like 317 to 276, right? And this goes all the way down the lineup. If you look at the 66 person was this Ryan 92, is 283, and dropped to 245. So it's not just the elite power that's going to drop. This happens through all powers. So it's an important note to make that your total hero power doesn't fluctuate as much, but your actual overall power is heavily reliant on your drill grounds. All right, so let's get into some of the things we saw in the war, 71 versus 80. Some of the takeaways that I had from Saturday and our lessons learned. So one, I'm going to show you some of the battle reports here that I saved for my favorites. So one of the strategies that 80 had was they were going to change the names of all their bases. So if you look at my screen here as some of the samplings that I picked, you can see who I was attacked by. All these Lils, right? Or we're all here. And this is what they had. Now, this was incredibly effective to me personally. I think overall it showed that the strategy was effective. I'm not sure necessarily if it was an original strategy from 80, but as we learn, imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So if they leveraged it from somebody else, whatever it is, by them doing it, it was smart, and they did a great job. So why was it effective? Because you can't tell who you're hitting and you can't tell who you're being hit by. If I know an elite's coming to hit, I can move. If I know someone, I got to watch that, right? If I know it's some other base I'm not worried about, I let them hit me and haha on them, they're going to lose. But when you all have the same name, it really kind of almost makes you worry about something different than the strategy at hand of what you're doing. I'm trying to get things to the capital, trying to get things to the cannons. Now I'm worried about who's hitting my base over here. Is that actually an elite? So here you can see I was hitting somebody, had no troops up. And then you see this person is hitting me, and look at this power. They're hitting me, I'm losing 4189, and it's a 78.7. So it was one of the elites that was hitting me, right? And then here, same name, and I'm being hit by a 55.5 million march, right? So it's a different one. And now you look over here, and I got hit, and I lost 5560 because I got hit by an 80.7 million march. So again, all the names having these differences of what they were doing really just goes to show you that the strategy was effective and it worked. So that was one lesson I take away for anybody else who watches from the older server. I would say, or a newer server. I'd say try it. It seemed to be effective. That was one of my takeaways. Um, Second takeaway that I noticed for the war was that we had a lot of participation on 71, but it was a lot of sideline participation. People didn't get in the mud. And some of the aerial shots that I saw, 80 was in the mud. 80 had, and it slowly, as the war progressed, it got worse to less of 71 in the mud and more of 80 in the mud. So although the elite power may have been on our side, the overall power was on 80 side, and that came from the mud participation. So I would say overall, guys, if you're fighting a war, it doesn't matter your strength. The fact that you get in the mud and you're willing to fight, again, takes up time to remove you, gets you closer to fighting in the capital. Trying to get from the sidelines to a cannon or the sidelines to the capital is taking you like 10-minute marches. I mean, the war was only like an hour and a half, so that's going to give you the 10-minute marches. You're going to do what, 6 attacks the whole war? So come on. I mean, you're participating, but like get in the mud, get dirty, and get involved. So I wanted to take that along. The last thing I wanted to say is, this is the first war that I really fought. Last week we fought 70, but as you saw, they weren't really participating, right? So when I look at our power, right, saying that this is the first time that we're in here, for the first time I'm in this server, and you look at some of the total hero power that I'm trying to get used to playing alongside is enormous, right? And as this war progressed, I saw 80 with the capital at 60%. I think it was. You saw it in the live, right? I glanced over, and I think it was like 60%. And here I am just thinking that I'm playing with gods. Like, it doesn't matter. It's 60% because we can quickly just take it over with 3 people. And I learned that they need support. They can't do it on their own. Participation is enormous within these wars. Everybody knows participation is enormous, right? We all know that. That's not nothing new. And we all like say in theory, like, yeah, as long as we have enough people, we could take over. They're strong. But it's totally different when you're on this side of the fence and you think you're playing with, uh, you know, you're playing with some of the strongest people in the game. Period. And in a season, when you're fighting a battle where it can only be one alliance versus another alliance, that's pivotal. But when you are actually having to go server versus server, it really is, they need support. They need more. They can't just take the capital by themselves. There is other elites on the other side that are strong. And although they're stronger, it doesn't mean that they're not going to get whacked out of the capital or just be able to take it over and hold it solely with all of these hits coming in from stronger people. So really, it was a lesson learned as well from myself that get in earlier to that capital and try to reduce some of those percentages. Don't let them just run away with 60, 70% before you start really taking it seriously, right? There's just the lead is too big and insurmountable, and I think we saw that. We were splitting cannons. It was difficult to get 3 to 4 cannon control. When you can't do that, it makes it difficult to make big chunks out of the capital time. So we ended up not being able to overcome the lead. So those are my lessons learned. Getting into what we look like for the semifinals and finals. Okay, 80 is incredibly strong. They're really good. They're fun. They've done a good job in building the server. I think this is one of the things that people need to learn is that 80 had 80 had a lot of strong people prior. They were a strong server, right? And they lost that by losing one of their elite people, one of the strongest people in the game. I know, was on 80, left, and people thought that the server was going to suffer. That was the end of 80. And 80 just added more power. They withstood that. They added more people. They got more active over the next transfer periods, and they didn't give up. They restocked their server with active warriors, and they've become like strong. They're a good server. Now they're taking on 81. 81 has continually been strong. Originally, they added elite power in the first transfer over, we know, with Root. They are very, very strong. If you look at, let's look some of their elite power that we have the matchup for the finals, and you can see Root's very strong, and I think the biggest highlight for them is it just. I know everybody says it looks like it's all LNL, right? Like it's all in the same team, right? But the problem is they're incredibly strong. Like they're warriors. They are all like really good fighters. They're not going to run out of troops. They're not going anywhere. The high level, the over 180 million accounts here, you're going to get to 14, and they're just when you get to the elite power here, it's really high. I just think they're really tough to beat in that regard. I also think that people doubt they can beat them going in, and sometimes they win the psychological battle of these wars. But when you look at 80, 80 stands a good chance. They do have strong. They're sitting here over. They have like 15 people over 180. They might be a little shy on the over 200 million as far as the elite. They have 4 elites here, and don't forget Root was 360, so he is strong. But they just overcame, Hulk and CDF, so it should be a great final. Is the point? Unfortunately, I will not be covering it unless we can finish our war early, which I doubt we could because 100 is also a very difficult enemy. So it will be 71 versus 100 in the finals, in the semifinals, in the third place runner-up game. Sorry, finals. I wish it was the finals, to be honest with you. So their total hero power, we look, and they don't have the elite power that 71 has, but they do have a lot of strong accounts. The server was stronger probably a couple seasons ago, more so than necessarily is now, but they have top end power too, and participation is going to be key. So who has more troops after the last war? Who can get more people in the mud? I think we just went over from some of those lessons learned, and with that, that will be the end of our wrap up for the lessons learned and look ahead. So have a good rest of your day. QB18 out.